Series 2 overall is an interesting one because it's probably the only series I can think of where I absolutely love it and I absolutely hate it. It's got that real balance of episodes. There's one episode which a lot of people hate, which I am increasingly liking more and more every time I watch it, but let's stop babbling and getting at number 10. Fear Her. Yeah. I think we all know the obvious ones that are going to be at the bottom of this list, but it's quite interesting to see which of the bad ones are going to be at the bottom. And Fear Her, I'm going to be very, very quick with this. The idea that you draw someone, there's a monster that draws someone, they get trapped and they vanish, is a really good idea on paper. I don't really care. The girl and her mum. I mean, I do like Ten and Rose sort of messing around and just enjoying themselves, going to investigate around the houses and sort of turning into like investigators. This is before the finale. They're well with each other now. They're very sort of comfortable and you can see that. So I think their dynamic is really strong, but the episode has just got a good idea, but it's just, I don't know, there's something off about it. They did predict the London 2012 Olympics though, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But let's move up then to number 9. Yeah, Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. Honestly, I do forget that this exists because it's just so bad. And this is a fantastic example of something which starts off with quite a good idea and it doesn't know what to do with it, and then it just starts completely falling down the hole very quickly. And then we get to the second part and I'm like, it's just poor. It feels very poorly written, it feels very slow, it feels like a slow burn. But this should be the return of the Cybermen, this should be a massive occasion, and I think the moment where the Doctor realises that the Cybermen and everyone's running away, that's quite a cool moment. And then we go into the second part and it just gets a little bit boring. You get a few side characters introduced, they get killed off pretty quickly. Okay, number 8. The Idiot's Lantern. This is an episode which starts very well. It establishes itself. We are set in a time, and that's pretty obvious. The Doctor and Rose are messing around in their time. They're having fun. They're still being the Doctor and Rose, and it's great. It's all plain sailing. We get the horrible man in charge of the family who's quite obviously abusing his wife and his son, which is not very nice. The whole thing about people's faces being taken by the TV. Okay, Maureen Lipman. Okay, I can get behind that. But it's the cheesiness that lets it down. It's the just cartoonish, feed me and hungry that completely lets itself down. I know some YouTubers on the ending are really not happy with it. I'm someone that completely disagrees with it, but in a really horrible way gets why they've done it, because Rose going to the child and saying go and see your abusive father is horribly incorrect and should never ever be put on television. It's damaging. But from a story, from Rose's perspective, if she's right or wrong, I'm on a normal level, in normal everyday life, it is not allowed. For Rose, however twisted it is, that's the way she thinks, and for her in the Doctor Who world, that is sadly what she thinks is correct. Yeah. That episode does let itself down, starts well, goes downhill very quickly. But let's move up then to number 7. New Earth. I know what you're thinking, I've not said the other obvious one. That's because that's the one that I'm actually quite interested in. New Earth is something which has gone downhill for me over the years. I quite liked it. I like The Face of Beau. The cats I actually weirdly liked. Now they bore me. So I do quite like episodes where they sort of go into the sort of disease and you sort of turn into like a zombie-like thing. I am normally a fan of that because I'm a fan of zombie shows. But it's kind of actually getting a little bit boring where we're kind of just... zombies are walking, they're going to kill everyone goes on lockdown. Cassandra's back, that's cool, it's a quite cool little addition. I just don't think enough's going on in this episode, and for that reason it's quite far below. It's not bad, it's not good, meh. Okay then, number 6, and I'm saying it, yeah, Love and Monsters. The originality and the uniqueness of this episode has made this age well for me, because when this first came out everyone hated it. And look, let me get one thing straight, the Absorbaloff thing is an absolute terrible idea. Absorbaloff is a good name. I may be wrong in saying this is like the first episode we get where it's like a Dr. Light story, I'm not quite sure. But there's not been many before that in New Who, so I think the lack of the Doctor is known, but I think Mark Warren, the guest star, takes it away pretty well. Tells this story in a way which I've grown more to like because of just the complete uniqueness of the clockworks of how the show normally goes in its storytelling and how it tells a story. It's completely mashed around with this. The ending for the Absorbaloff isn't actually too bad. We still get a standoff. There are still consequences there. The Absorbaloff does kill a lot of people, so it's not like it's a wasted monster. I think people hate on it a little bit too much because it actually does cause quite a lot of damage to the characters that we know. So honestly, ask me in 5 years' time, this could be in the top 3. You may think I'm crazy for saying that, but it's only going one way and it's going up. Let's move on to number 5, Tooth and Claw. Every episode after this is good. I like a lot. This episode is nearly there. I really like the idea of Queen Victoria and that she's a wolf, and the whole wolf thing. There's a lot of chasing around, which is kind of what I said about New Earth, which maybe does get a little bit boring because it's very, very quick paced and people do die in this as well. It keeps you hooked, for me anyway. Torch was introduced as well, love that. I love the banter between the Doctor and Rose and trying to get the Queen to say, I'm not amused. I think it offers quite a lot. I think apart from the wolf sort of chasing everybody, there's not really much else going on. You've got them karate people, but apart from one scary bald man, there's not really much else to them, and he gets dealt with very easily. So apart from that, it's mediocre, nearly good. But number 4 is good. And that is School Reunion. Sarah Jane Smith, Rose and the Doctor make this episode. They turn quite bitchy, Sarah Jane and Rose, and you see them make up in the end. And there's quite a nice little story that they both go on, and it's kind of realistic that two people that used to travel with the Doctor at very different times, two very different people clashing with a Doctor that's also very different to what Sarah Jane would know, and makes it quite an interesting dynamic where it's kind of like, what buttons can we push and how are we going to go around doing certain things. And I think having two very opposite sort of companions coming together and growing to then like each other and respect each other, I think is quite a fun watch. Anthony Head is always a good villain, and he is really good here. Quite like the thing in the chips, the thing that they're feeding the children makes them really, really clever. And the Doctor coming in, there's a little bit of banter there between the kids and the Doctor, who's more clever. So yeah, there's some really good bits in this. Not a lot of massive stuff happens, but I think setting the score, it's actually kind of entertaining to watch for 45 minutes and has gone up in my views as well. Number 3 is the finale, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. This finale is not as good as Series 1. It's certainly much more of a higher stake, a lot more happens. It is all reversed, but there's a big difference between this and the Empire of Death. This is the end for Rose, and this finale is all about Rose, really, isn't it? Let's just admit it. The Daleks and the Cybermen are all zapped in. Yep, fantastic. And then Rose gets zapped in with them. That's what everyone remembers, and that's what sticks out from the finale. I think for that reason, it deserves to be this high up. The reveal of Torchwood is actually really underwhelming. It's basically just a room. I understand budget wouldn't allow to do more things like it does nowadays with UNIT, for example. But yeah, I think that was a bit of a overshadowed sort of reveal. But that's Russell T Davies for you. Number 2, The Girl in the Fireplace. A very, very good story. I really like this a lot. This is normally an episode that a lot of people do like. Stephen Moffat wrote this very, very well. It's not that I'm not put off the episode from this, but the fact that the Doctor was like kissing Madame de Pompadour literally 5 minutes after he saw her as a little girl. I know for her it was years, but for him it felt a little bit weird. It did feel a little bit weird, but I think the Clockwork people are really well sort of established, and we get quite an early confrontation with them where we see the fear of not only the little girl but the Doctor as well against these kind of monsters. The whole bit where they're sort of saying, where's that ticking coming from, because the clock is broken. So that's a really nice little moment. And then the horse coming into the episode is fantastic. I try to only look at Mickey as a character in Doctor Who and not look at Noel Clarke and what he's done since that episode. If you don't know, Google him. He's a not very nice person. Mickey as a character, I think, adds a lot to the story, and it doesn't take away anything from Rose or the Doctor, but it sort of gives the Doctor to then go and explore the relationship with Madame de Pompadour while giving Rose her lines to give her something to do because Mickey is there. And the whole timey-wimey thing as well around Spaceship is in a very, very different time period to Madame de Pompadour and what year she is in, and the whole time travel, how they use that is really original and something which when I was younger I really, really liked, and it's pretty good. It was not my number one, and this is I love The Girl in the Fireplace, but this is an easy number one for me. The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. To use the devil, religion, science, Edge of a Black Hole, Satan, Ood, who are my favourite. I can't really call them villains. I guess in this they are villains, but they're just little beings that get taken over very, very easily and are very vulnerable, especially to Satan. But for this episode they are villains, and I like them a lot. I like the sort of hints that we get that the devil is coming, the beast and his army shall rise from the pit to make war against God. This is a two-parter where they bring in different things in the second part, they bring in new problems, and it keeps me hooked. It all feels relevant, it all keeps me gripped, and maybe in the second part it does drift off a little bit at times when they're sort of hiding and then running from the Ood, but apart from that, it doesn't make this episode bad. And this two-part finale is the best of Series 2, but do you agree? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Give this video a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all soon for Series 3.